Hey everyone. You know, last week or so, I watched Rowdy C's Chris Moore's TV Trash episode on the XFL. And I have to say that what I saw, what I watched and heard, Rowdy brought up a lot of good points. A lot of what you see from a spectator standpoint now is very reminiscent to what you would see in the XFL, if not what you see in sports entertainment like the WWE and whatnot. But with that said, I was thinking about this, and I know I'm not the only one that's thought about this. But after watching yesterday's Super Bowl, it really got me wanting to talk about this even more so, and that is the fact that whether we probably want to admit it or not, whether we want to admit it or not, there has to be a reason why certain things happen the way they do. And the way I look at it is it follows that suit of sports entertainment. Now we know with the WWE, we have what is known as pro wrestling meets sports entertainment. Boom. There you go. Pro wrestling meets sports entertainment. Boom. There you go. Now, here's here's what's interesting about this. Sports entertainment has replaced the word wrestling in a sense for WWE, that is. But you flip on the flip side, if you flip things around and you look at the pro sports situation, it's like sports entertainment meets pro sports, and it becomes a hybrid. In other words, what I mean by hybrid is pro sports like football, baseball, basketball, NFL, NBL, NFL, NBL, MLB, NBA, WNBA, NHL, you name it. When I'm talking about hybrid, I'm talking about the fact that, yeah, they're more legit, if not more real. Well, they are real, there's no doubt, but they're more legit in a sense of how things are done. They're more legit on how things are done. They're more, real in many sense, but there is that sports entertainment portion of it, of that, there's that sports entertainment portion of that hybrid that is there. Now, we kind of noticed, now, if you're a true sports fan, you may have noticed that trinkets and little trinkets of the sports entertainment deal were coming in slowly but surely. Little trinkets, trinkets, trinkets. You know what I'm saying? That basically pro sports was embracing more of that sports entertainment deal. Not as much, but they started to do so. And true, throughout the 80s and 90s, you had a little bit of that sports entertainment deal, especially when you had big time name players out of various professions, being put into commercials, making cameos in movies, television shows, you name it. And that's still going on today, but more so than ever. Let's be honest, more so than ever. Which is which makes me always theorize this one question. It's something that bugs me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that it bugs. And that is, just like WWE and possibly even UFC, and I know I'll get some flack for that, could other pro sports like NBA, NFL, and maybe even Major League Baseball, could they, in a sense, be predetermined just like wrestling? Hear me out. We know with companies like WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, and probably some MMA companies like Bellator, UFC, Kings of Cage, whatever you want to call it. We know that in a sense, some of those, well, we know, like let's say the WWE, TNA, and Ring of Honors, we know they're predetermined. We know, and we know somewhat that maybe, UFC, Bellator, Pride, maybe, whatever. Then, in a sense, maybe some of what they do, some of their matchups are predetermined. Let's not deny that. True, the biggest difference MMA has over wrestling is they're more legit, real, and in your face kind of deal. But we know it's predetermined. Part of it is, anyway. So that raises the question as if nowadays, and maybe even somewhat back in maybe a decade and a half ago or so, but more so nowadays, it raises the question on if maybe certain pro sports are predetermined. Because think about it. Like I said, watching the Super Bowl last night, you had Carolina hyped up as probably the best team in the NFL, and yet they played last night like they were the Carolina Panthers that first began in the NFL. I mean, true, they had some good moments here and there, but they pretty much played like they were a team that was either second to last place in the division, if not the conference. Not a team that went 16-1 the entire season and postseason. And what also factors into this is how everybody was hyping up that this could be Peyton Manning's last game. This could be it for the guy that's been going on for over a decade and a half. This is a guy that got drafted the year I graduated. Basically a month before I graduated. High school, that is. But with all that said, it makes you wonder if maybe the Super Bowl, if not the regular season, in the entire past NFL season, if not seasons, for certain teams and everything, were predetermined from the get-go. Like maybe Denver was meant, like possibly with the word going out, maybe at the beginning of the year, I think that this could be Peyton's last year, his last season, that maybe it was predetermined right from the get-go, okay, Denver's got to win. So let's have Denver lose a few games, but let's get them to the Super Bowl, da 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 da. No, I'm not saying that's true. I'm just theorizing. Because when you take a look at everything that went on, you would think Carolina would have given them a more closer game, would have made you grit your teeth, get on the edge of your seat and go like, oh my God, last second, will Denver win? Or will Carolina come back and win? Will Carolina win? They didn't do that. Now, some might say it was because of the stingy defense that Denver had. Hey, I'm not denying anything. That defense did their job last night. There's no doubt about it. But still, even with a stingy defense like Denver going up against a high-octane offense like Carolina's, you'd think that would have provided better matchups. But it didn't. So it makes me think, in a sense, and wonder if perhaps professional sports like the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, maybe even the NHL, perhaps in a sense that either around playoff time or even at the start of the seasons or even during those spring, summer, and winter meetings, that they already predetermine who's going to come out on top. It makes me wonder. It makes me wonder. Because it seems that the certain games and matchups that are hyped up as being big time deals and could go down as classics, as all-time classics, the other team ends up getting slaughtered by the team they're supposed to match up evenly with. I mean, this was a matchup of 1-1. And that one being Denver that won the game close to being a number 5 seed in the AFC playoffs, you, you would think would have been closer. But it wasn't. So again, it's just a theory on my part, and maybe I'm wrong, that perhaps pro sports nowadays, more so than ever, is predetermined either at the beginning of the season or during those winter, spring, summer meetings, that's when everything is predetermined on how things are supposed to go. I mean, come on, you think the owners of all these teams, whether the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, Major League Baseball, they're not sitting around at these meetings just talking about, I'll trade you this player for that player, or, you know what, that's a good location to probably move the team to in the near future. Maybe we could look into that and all that, this and that. You do not think that? Do you think they're honestly not just sitting around doing that? No, they're probably sitting around. They're probably also meeting about out with the head people in charge saying, okay, this year, because again, just a theory on my part, that the head people in charge of all these leagues are probably thinking, like with the NFL, they probably thought, okay, this year, there's word going around it's going to be Peyton's last year, but we also got to establish somebody just in case to be the next Peyton Manning, the next face of the league. So Carolina, you got Cam Newton. He's doing good. You'll be Carolina owner. You got the Panthers. Your Cam Newton's doing better. We'll make them the number 1 team. They're going to go nearly unbeaten, but they got to have one loss. But they're going to go unbeaten until the Super. They're going to nearly go unbeaten for the whole season, except for one loss, and then they're going to get to the Super Bowl, and then they're going to lose to Denver. That's right, to Denver. And John, Pat, your team's going to, they're going to have some major wins. You're going to be the number 1 seed in your AFC. You're going to go to the Super Bowl. And if it's Peyton's last game, you guys are going to not only face Carolina, but you guys are going to beat Carolina, and you're going to win. Oh, in Carolina, you got to give them a good game. Or at least a decent game. Again, just a theory. Just a theory. And I know I'm going to probably upset some people. But come on, honestly. There have been come on, be honest. Is it not true? Is there not some truth to that or not? Come on, be honest. Because I admit there have been some situations where a team, whether it's in baseball or football, or basketball, where a player is going to walk off into the sunset, and his team makes the playoffs, maybe the world championship, but yet his team doesn't win, but it's still going to be his last rodeo, his last game, his last appearance, if you will. Is there not some kind of truth to that? I mean, is there not some kind of truth to that? I mean, like, let's say they're hyping up Lakers and Cavs as Kobe's last matchup with the Cavs. Okay, great. No doubt about it. Kobe's a great player. Has been a great player and all that. But they're hyping it up and everything. And, I'm not saying that certain people are not going to say, hey, it's my last season, whether you make our team the top dog or not. I'm just saying. My point is, folks, what I'm trying to get at is the theory I have here is whether it's before the season, during the season, or right before the playoffs, that there has to be some kind of predetermining factor in who walks out as the winners, the champions, and the overall number 1 team. And if I'm wrong about that, then I'm wrong. But again, it's just a theory. It's just a theory that I think pro sports are just as, if not, well, not as much, but I would say just as, not as much, but just as predetermined as the pro wrestling and the MMA sometimes that you see. So But again, if I'm wrong, you guys let me know down below. Comment if you like. And I'll talk to y'all later.